Human being and a really, really beautiful carver. So I think he'll do a great job. I'm going to turn it over to you.
He's handsome, not beautiful.
A little of both.
Yeah.
I think I got it right. Everybody hear me? Sound good?
Over this way further? The lighting's better from behind here.
I think I got it now.
Are you getting that lighting in your thing?
Well, I came here Ridgeway in '09. Been carving maybe full-time now for 4 years, going on 5 years here soon. But my first Ridgeway, I'm sure there's a lot of guys here just coming for the first time. A couple guys from Utah and stuff. But you're going to learn a lot walking around, just taking a look and seeing what guys are making. I came in '09 and I ran into a guy, Joe Rigo, and he was making some awesome wood spear faces. I had never really carved a wood spear face. I'm trying to think, maybe just kind of chiseling stuff out with little Dremels and things like that. But he made some phenomenal pieces just out of some scrap pine he had sitting around. And I was kind of just taking a look at what he had there and how many people just came and flocked in and just bought all these things up really quick. I mean, for 75 bucks, he was just boom, boom, quick money. And went home and just started grabbing some scraps. And from the scraps, just carving out little faces that, you know, usually you throw this stuff out. I mean, I cut that yesterday off of my piece, and just with like a little electric saw that Tommy Seriani let me borrow, buzz that out. You know, it doesn't take long to make these things, and just getting started, you know, my first year, you really need to kind of make that piece that anybody can afford. So I mean, what I was doing is I just get like a little piece, you know, it could be something similar to that, something funky, you know, they're all kind of strange. And the wood spear faces are so strange anyway. I mean, it's basically just a, you know, quick cut here and here. But I always kind of start with the nose too, and I kind of go in there like that, 2 cuts. And then I can kind of buzz this out here with the saw tip here and here, and just pop that in there, and then you got your eyes. Before long, you just hit that there and there. Then you kind of buzz in around the nose, and you take these pieces out here and right in here. Then you got those cheeks and sunk in, and you really got to bring that nose out. I think the nose is very important. One of the pieces you really want to stick out the farthest is the nose. And I like to kind of let the rest of it kind of hang out and around it. But then I just kind of go in here and get that lip out. And you can just buzz in around here. Everybody see that? And then sometimes I'll put a little lip in. Sometimes I'll open this lip up down in the bottom here real quick. And then I just kind of start dragging the saw. And you kind of, with these wood spear faces, they're a lot of fun just dragging that in there, and you start making all these really cool lines. Well, before long I started making a ton of these things and just playing around with them, having a lot of fun. I started taking these lines here, I started incorporating those in other pieces that I was doing, and it started to really give you a lot of flow and movement. And you know, when you're just, might be carving like a bird flying or something like that, taking and start dragging the saw down, and now you're getting these reeds popping out, and it just really gives it an extra flow, so it gives it more movement and it brings it to life. So and you kind of put the lines in for the beard in here too, and then I always go back in. And something else, when I'm out kind of hiking around, I kind of draw a lot of inspiration from the woods, fishing and things like that. And I'll be finding old root balls. I started looking at different pieces of wood and how I could kind of manipulate what I was seeing from the woods and then put that into my piece. So after a while I was carving, you know, they were basic, but then I started taking these chunks of wood and I started adding these little branches and things like that in here. And I started noticing people really like that. So then I was taking a an old root ball and you flip it upside down. Then you got this explosion of really cool wood. And you're sanding it, and then you're putting little birds coming out of it and little wood spear faces in it. And before long, a wood spear face started at like 20 bucks. You were just grabbing $20 here and there, and then you started selling them for like 600 and up. And it kind of, something that you just need to make a couple dollars and to pay the bills turned into something that people were really enjoying and stopping. And you know, now you can pay the mortgage with them. But I'm trying to think something else I could probably try to figure out here on these things. But yeah, just what you go in here and carve like a little branch in there. I pop a lot of little holes inside there. Open them all up, and then with the little holes that you open up inside, people can actually, they always ask you, how am I going to hang these? You say, well, you can put a little screw right in the top there where the hole's at, and just hook it right on your wall or something. Different types of woods I use. I was just using, like I say, the scrap pieces for a while. After a competition, when I first got started, there would be scrap everywhere, and I didn't have a lot of logs. So I just start walking around, picking up everybody's scrap and throwing it in my trailer. And I would take a whole pile of scrap home, and I would just be making these things. And yeah, for a while, just getting started, I would make like just little slivers and just carve little eyes in them. And they were you know, selling for like 20 bucks. But they really are. They're a great thing. You know, you get kind of tired doing a bear, and sometimes you carve these bears out and you're carving in between the legs. These things are so flat and easy to carve. I mean, just a couple basic cuts, and I mean, you can have one done for sure, especially this size, within, you know, 15 minutes. So, but I use different wood now. I don't always just use pine. I use a lot of cedar, black walnut, and then a couple pieces of pine here and there. I don't make the real small ones anymore. Kind of don't have time. But the black walnut, I didn't bring one of my black walnut pieces. They're really cool. I really like the different shades that it brings out. You get in there into the depths of the wood, and you start pulling all these darker colors out, and then the outside of the walnut has that real nice white, and that beard just really pops out. I really like that in the black walnut. It's one of my favorite types of species of wood to carve, as well as the red cedar. I got a red cedar face sitting back here. But I really like how that red and white, the contrast really pops out too. So that's always a good thing to have, you know, on a sculpture, I believe, is the color is really, really important. And Aaron showed that yesterday with his color, you know, how you want to bring those colors out. So you want to draw people's eye in and make them turn their heads when they're driving by. You want that impact. And if it's just a piece of white pine, you know, there's nothing great about that until you start getting in there and pulling the depths out, getting in deep cuts, especially with these faces. And something as easy and as simple as a wood spear face, you can it kind of gives you like a practice on a bigger piece. So I have a couple pictures that I've Ed Crow's been great setting this stuff up. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. But you can see in this piece here at the bottom, the wood spirit, I just went in and around that chunk of wood and really pulled that spirit out. And so now, the contrast is really the depth of it, and it popped it out. So that was a pretty cool piece there with that spirit blowing out of that bottom of that oak. And if you guys ever get to England, that was carved in England this past year. They got some great wood down there. It was awesome. I think that was the English oak that I carved, and really, really pretty stuff. But by going in depth with the saw and pulling that out, you're getting that color and the darkness of that in the spirit faces, which I think is helpful in any sculpture. So I'm just starting out, like I say, with something really small, and you just keep working with them from the slivers like I kind of did over the years, and then before long you're pulling these huge faces out of the log like that. There was another one that I have on there that I did this past year as well, That's the same one. It's pretty cool. I like that rabbit running. That was fun. It was a neat piece. I did a yard tree. That was another piece of cedar that I did.
Where do you want to go? The yard tree?
Yeah, with the old dude coming out of it. I did it. It was like a 30-foot poplar tree. That man, if you guys climbing up, I think there was some question and the hands were raised on how tall. Over 10 foot from Jeff's. Yeah, that was scary. It was a 30-footer, and you get to that top buck and you're up there and you're like, what in the world am I doing? I was like, come on. If it wasn't for bills and family, I would not be up here right now. I was like, how fast can I carve this thing? So, especially at the top. But I got going on there and I got that thing going and carved up, started coming down, and the client wanted it was an owl and wood spirit is what the concept. So when we got to working on it, and you know how somebody else had said, you kind of keep it open, but we already talked about price. I just said, look, $1,000 flat rate, however many things you want in here, it's going to be another day. That's what I told them. That's how I work it, and it seems to work out well. Talked to some other guys, and they're like, well, if I'm climbing scaffolding, I'm at another $200 a day. So I'm thinking I might start doing that. But got the owl up there and another spear face, another owl popping out, and then the spear face is coming down. That was a lot of fun. If you guys have never carved these things, they are a lot of fun. I don't really get bored of making them. I really don't get bored of making anything with a chainsaw. It's just, I love it. I love my job. Like all you guys are probably here and loving the job we do. It's just so much fun. But as it comes down, the client wanted me to pull this old man out of the tree. So I was like, man, that's going to be really cool. And I had the meat to do it. So like I say, I went in deep in and around and just started pulling this old dude out. And he just started popping out of the tree. Might be the next picture. Right there. So he was coming out, he's got his hands. The guy kind of wanted his hands like he was leaning out. And I was like, yeah, I think I can do that. And got in there. And you can kind of see that cut, like I was saying earlier. You make that nose right here. Right in there. And then I just took a cut here and there. And it just popped that eye out. And it really is that easy. Then underneath here, and this whole tree was all chainsaw. I didn't do any sanding or grinding. It carved really well. It was tulip poplar. So I like tulip poplar now.
Did you add color or burn back in the hole, or is that just...
I didn't add any burn or any, nope. All I did was carved it and I put a, what is that stuff called? Flood. Yep. Yep, CWF flood oil over the whole thing, and it just really, because the tulip poplar's kind of yellowish brown. It's not a super pretty wood, but once I put that flood on there, it really brought it out. And that's why I'm saying with these cuts, you can make these really deep cuts, and it really will kind of just give you that depth and that color that you want to pop out. And I just pulled him right out of that log like that. I was pretty happy with that piece, how it turned out. But yeah, as you practice with these things and carving with the spear faces, you can kind of, I don't know, it really worked for me with, just monkeying around with these things. I'm trying to think of something else I could...
Hey, Jason?
Yeah.
When you're doing the little pieces, how do you hold the wood while you're carving?
Those little jaw horses.
Oh.
Man, these things are awesome. You got to get one if you don't have one. I sharpen my saws in them and everything. You can take a little piece of wood like this and pop that in there and just knock out something, a little bird, or every now and then I'll get somebody that's like, I can't afford $200, what can you make me? And I'll just grab a piece of wood and slam that thing in there and carve something out real quick for them. And yeah, those jaw horses are great. I love them. But
Jason, can you address glance? How do you get glances? A wood spirit face looking at one way or another way, or up or straight on?
Oh, I got you. Kind of like, how do you get like the side profile type thing, you mean?
Well, where they're looking. A lot of spirit faces I've seen, are where are they looking, and they seem to have this distant kind of view. You can never really stare them in the eyes, kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, I think with that one especially, I did not, like I said, I didn't use any Dremels or anything in the eyes, so I didn't carve pupils. And I think with adding the pupils, You know, even when a bear, you don't want one eye going that way and the other one, you know, the pupil means a lot. So you really got to get them eyeballs in there. And then sometimes I'll drill straight back into the eye. Like, here, I'll just do a quick drawing here. Kind of, like I say, I come down with the nose. And I usually add an eyebrow too, right in here. I'll put the whole nose over here. But I'll get in there and I'll put that eyeball in there. And then I might go back in and carve that other eye there, that little pupil piece. And it just depends, like sometimes the direction that you want him to look. I always kind of, with these things, I kind of make them look like they're kind of looking up with their brow kind of hanging down heavy. But if the beard is kind of blowing a certain way, you could almost make his eyes look like he's looking at the direction that the wind's blowing his beard. You could almost take, I think it's all in the pupils, all in the eyes really. You could just sink that one eye more into the corner there.
One thing I do is I use push pins, drawing pins.
Yeah.
On the eyes, you can change the direction till you're happy it's looking the way you want to do, and then it's.
Yeah. I've never heard of that, but that's a cool idea. Sticking these push pins in.
Yeah. So it's you know, it's easy to adjust around.
Right, and then you can actually get in there. Can you carve around the push pin too?
Then I'll pencil around where I'm happy and carve that.
Yeah, that's a good idea actually. But some of the bits that I've used over the years on these, I got a couple that I really like. Usually if you want to get in here and then add underneath, you want to add like a, I know Joe Rigo, I've noticed he really hangs his eyelids down. He puts those really cool eyelids. I don't always put the eyelids in them, but I do like to add like that those little lines underneath, kind of like just like a wrinkle, just to add some interest. But one of the bits that I like to use is just that green ball bit. That's a good one. And then I always kind of go inside around the eyes with those real long finger bit. And that's the green bit too. Tom's got those things. He's got those. But these two here are pretty good bit that I like to use. And another one that I really like, it looks like a little flame. That's another really good bit. And Stevie, my buddy Joe, he got me set up, kind of got me on these ones like that, and it's the orange bit, and it has the really aggressive teeth on that. That one I like as well. You get in there and you can knock in some nostrils, you know, up underneath there, or really dig out, especially if you're using, I like this on certain types of wood, like, what wood was I using that last? Like dry pine. I don't like using on a green piece of pine. It just catches too much. You can use these two, the green ones, on wet pine, things like that. I think the plane is green. Yes, these two are green, and then this one's like an orange bit. I'm trying to think of another bit that I really like. You know what? On the cedar, it's very important on cedar. The cedar kind of, it's hard and it blows out real easy. On the cedar, I use this same bit for the eyes and the little details, but I use the yellow bit. It's the real small grit, and that really gets in there, and it doesn't shred it, just blow. Sometimes you'll blow that pupil out because you're going in here and carving that real deep to kind of get that depth. Then you'll go inside here and carve another line, and then if it's too aggressive, it'll just pop that eye out and blow it apart, and you're all ticked, and then you got to drop like 20 bucks off the piece, or go in and just recarve it, you know, and you just keep going back over it. But I know, you know, you get up here and you forget everything you're gonna say, everything you're gonna talk about. Yeah, there's a bunch of bits, but yeah, I really like the that yellow bit for the cedar. I mean, if you guys really start getting into some cedar, it's a great wood. It's one of my favorite woods. Like I say, the cedar, I like the cedar, black walnut, and then the pine. You know, obviously we're all carving in the white pine and stuff. But here, get this guy here. So you can just take and open that mouth up and just get all these different depths and everything. I kind of got the pupils in there carved out. This one isn't. This is just one I just carved out real quick. Just laying around there at the house. I had a chunk of wood sitting there. You just take the log and cut it right in half. It's flat on the back and it's ready to go. Put a couple carves in there. I bet you I might have maybe a half hour carving that. I got $200 on them.
What do you say?
What I sand with? I try to do as much with the saw as I can, and then I went back over it with a. I might not have sanded this one too much with the angle grinder, just a flat angle grinder, flat disc. Then I go back over with a palm sander, just to try to. And you see Jeff's stuff up there, and you're looking for little little pieces of shred wood. It's like, I'm gonna find a mistake in that thing, and you can't. So I'm like, all right, I gotta get rid of these little shred things, and so I'm in here trying to figure out how can I get those out, because you just want to keep stepping it up. You don't want, because eventually it'd be cool to sell these for like $400, But yeah, always in there just trying to find like little pieces and little things and little other ways to get those little things out. And then I also burn them sometimes. I didn't burn this one. Burning gets that stuff out too. But finger sander, especially like some of these wood spear faces, if you're just getting kind of bored with just carving the face, I'll throw like an owl or something on the top, and if it's pine or a lighter wood, I'll burn that owl real well. Then go back in with that finger sander, and I'll put spots and specks on them, and those things are really great. I like a finger sander. They're a lot of fun too. I like detailing this stuff. It's fun carving it, and there's just, I guess the boring part's like the clear coat. But then when you clear coat them, it just brings them to life too. It pops those colors out.
Ray, where do you buy your saber-tooth?
I get everything from Tom, for the most part. Yeah, I think I was getting a couple bits from Woodworkers. I think it's Woodworker Supply, I think.
Out of Florida, yeah.
Is it out of Florida?
I don't think everybody knows who
Tom Sirianni? Tom,
T&Ds.
yeah, T&D. Yeah, they're
Set
here
up
at the
over
show.
by.
Yeah, go down there. They got all kinds of bits.
Here's their site.
Yeah, they got all kinds of great bits. I get a lot of all my carbon bars I get from Tom, and
Oh, that's Donna says it.
You should have just called it Mr. Don.
yeah, I just assume everybody knows Tom. I mean,
No, everybody knows Don.
Yeah. I don't use that big match. There's a smaller one. That one there was a little different. That last one, it's a little bit wider. This one is a little more narrow, more like a cat's eye, a little skinnier. This one here, because that one is just I have one of those, and I don't really use it that much. Rich Hamilton kind of got me on a cone bit last year. That cone bit works really well too for some of this stuff, getting in and around in the bottom. The cone bit kind of, that's good for just kind of dragging underneath of this, in this area here, and kind of pulling that out, because it's setting those cheeks back and popping that nose out. It's really important. But that cone bit's a pretty good bit too. I've used that quite a bit. It's just kind of rounded.
How about this one here? Or no, cone, huh?
Yeah, more like a little, it's like kind of like a shape like a pitch of a roof of a house. Yeah, right there on the right, the next one over.
Well, sorry.
That one there looks, yeah, that one's the one. I bought that one last year. That's a good one.
How do you clean them?
I've actually just taken a torch and just heated the torch up, just burnt them a little bit, and just brushed them off with a wire
If
bristle.
you use a file brush with the short teeth,
Yeah.
you can pop out that stuff.
I've heard of guys, yeah. See, I go up to
And
Home
a little
Depot
mini
and grab,
torch.
yeah.
One of those little tiny ones, but mostly that file will pop that out instantly.
Yeah, I definitely do. I mean, I'm always looking for some kind of tool or something to make things go smoother or, better. I got the Makita finger sander. That's a great little sander.
Stays on track too.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Doesn't wander the belt off.
No. They're like $300, but,
Worth it.
Yeah, somebody else, a buddy, Rourke Phillips from Tennessee. I was down there carving with him this year, and he's got this, it's a bristle brush. It looks like on the end of a nozzle of you remember your mom vacuuming with the old vacuum, had the little nozzle, she'd be all like raking the cobwebs out with it, and has that little bristly, it's round. And I bought one, it's like $60, but you hook that sucker on a, like a big buffing type grinder. And it has to be, I think he said you got to get it so it's adjustable. But on the cedar and stuff, and anything you want to get the shreds off to smooth out, he just drags that all over his stuff, and it really just kind of gets into all the crevices because the bristles are real long. So you can get in there and dig all that stuff out and get rid of all those shred marks, and just buffs the piece. And you got a couple different grits too.
It's called the Osborne brush.
Called the what?
Osborne.
I don't think that one was called the Osborne. Maybe
Where
it
you
was.
get it out of the West Coast.
Is that what they call it?
Because Captain Dave introduced us to that a few
Yeah,
years
that
ago.
thing's great.
Everybody bought those babies up.
Yeah. It's something similar to that.
Like that one right
that one there
there.
on the left. Yeah, that one. Yeah.
And it can come up to 7 inches.
Yeah, I think Rourke had a really big one. But he was buffing. Rourke's taking cedar and making like these really cool old cedar pieces that have
6
the
inches.
branches all over the place. And he's like buffing this thing. He's making these beds with them, and oh man, they're so cool. And he's using those things to get the piece real clean. And he's pressure washing before he's getting all the dirt out of it. Pressure washing them with,
You've got to mention the sand effect.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Rounds off the nose really well.
Oh, yeah.
You've got some funny old shapes. You can use a sander and it'll
Yeah.
just bring out in seconds.
It just rounds everything out, smooths it, and just makes it look more natural as opposed to something so harsh. You can take the side profile if you're looking at your wood spear face. That's another thing. I try to make that nose kind of come out. You got these sharp cuts because you're just kind of going buzzing those out, but like Dave's saying, you just take that and it just rounds that brush will round that nose out. It just makes everything so much softer.
There's an age look.
Yeah. You just get in there, and then usually my eyes don't pop out like that. My eyes are usually sunk in way in, and I'm in there digging those out with my little bits and things like that. But what's up, man?
But just a comment on the tree spirit faces. When they're scrap pieces that are just in the piles, I mean, the way they're cut and how thin they are, they're things that almost never crack too. So that's a good selling point for people when they're in their houses. Maybe have a small, worthless log where maybe you can get $100 bear out of it. If you cut it into 5 little slabs, get 5 of those that sell for $75 a piece. You turn that little $100 log into almost a $400 log too. So for guys that do it for a living, it's a good way to get by.
Oh yeah. There's another thing, like Joe's saying, sometimes you got this little chunk of wood, it's about this high, and you're like, well, I could carve like a little bear or something in it. Maybe, I don't know, get $200 for it, but sometimes I'll take that little chunk of wood, and sometimes they're about that big around. I'll cut it in half and kind of turn it, and then put a slab on it, carve 2 spirit faces in it, and now you can try to get, $400 to $500 out of it. But yeah, just use of wood. That's the greatest things. We all got scrap laying around. I'd like to. I mean, it would be kind of cool to come up with something else. I'm not real inventive, but it would be kind of neat to maybe make something else instead of the wood spirit. But I'm so hooked to these things. This is what I like to do with them. I think some guys have carved fish out of them and things like that. I've thought of taking scraps, carving fish, and then just gluing the scraps together, and then you get these fish, going all this, like a school level. That'd be kind of cool, with just the scraps. But I don't know. Any other questions? I'm trying to think of something here. Yeah.
Yeah, on something smaller like this, and for this kind of weather we got now, has anybody worked with an electric saw on a piece that size? Have you ever? I keep thinking about buying an electric saw, and would it be advantageous for me? I mean, have you ever done that with like an electric saw?
That one on the right there, I did carve that with a battery saw yesterday. It is slower. Tom Seriani, T&D, he let me borrow one. So because I've been talking about getting one. I don't really have a shop. I'm always carving outside anyway, so I'm just running the power saws all the time. But eventually I'll be building something, and then I'm going to get more electric tools.
Exactly. That's what I thought about.
I use electric saws a lot because I'm in town, and recently here when I got one of Tom's daughter's 043 carbon bars, a world of difference. It cuts so much better. And I do a lot of my wood spirit with electric.
What brand of saws are you electric?
I got a Dalmar and I got a steel, and they're both about the same. I got
Steel's a little hard to hold though,
I've
because they don't have a wraparound bar.
In the wintertime, it's nice to use the electric saws because you get all the gas, you try to use them as fast as you can, you get most of the block out, all the bolting done, and then just take it in the shop for a little bit, take it out, and it really does cut clean if you keep your saw sharp and you can get inside where it's a little warmer anyways, and then I've also used it in the middle of summer where it's super hot. I go inside the building, you don't have to, choke on the fumes, but just to do the ticking out, I don't, overuse the electric saw because it's not made for cutting out big chunks or, so you just keep it for just cleaning up and but it makes a nice, it's, how it is, nice to have the option to do that if you want to.
Right.
One year here, I think it was Ted Sheen, and we was down in the fire, in that place down there where the firemen had, and he carved about an 8-foot big bear. But it comes time to referring, you had to find a big old extension cord, and he used electric just to fur it.
The battery operated ones by Steel have come a long ways.
Yeah.
I use those now all the time indoors, especially for your flat work. The variable speed, the batteries last about 30 minutes. The recharger lasts about 30 minutes, so you just keep switching out batteries. And they've got some oomph with the 43 gauge they've come a long ways.
Yeah.
The first one Steel came out with, the 160, was not good at all, but the new 200, but it's pricey.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a pricey piece.
Yeah, Tom was
worth
telling
it.
me, he was like, you're probably not really going to like the battery one so much, because I like to carve these things fast. But, when it's cold, what else are you going to do? It'd be nice to extend, your time outside and just get in, carve, and, you can whittle these things out all night long.
See, that doesn't have a wraparound bar.
Some scraps. You just bring that stuff inside and sit down and really kill it.
Yep.
You could be in there.
Yeah.
A crappy day like Sub-Zero stuff. You can just be in there making money.
Right.
Well, the other thing is, too, it opens up your possibilities when you're doing events. Like some events where there's music and things like that, you could do these things and people aren't going to get cranky.
That's true. I've had those. They're like, hey, the band's playing. Do you know where we're playing? What are you doing? I'm like, hey, man, I'm paid to be here, too. Got saws. You just got a drum. What are you going to do with that?
Well, one of my things with that is the winter. I mean, it's not just even the temperature. It's daylight hours. I mean, it's like 4:30 and, okay, I've lost my light. Because I live in a valley like this. The sun in the noon, it sets at noon.
West Virginia?
Well, I'm in Ohio, but I'm
Ohio?
That's even worse.
Hey, what's wrong with West Virginia?
Nothing. I love it, man. West Virginia is awesome.
But by noon, the sun is gone, and so, something like that maybe to take inside my shop, and I could do it, once the sun's gone.
Oh, yeah. I got lights. I got to pop lights up and then stand out there and, if I can do it in like 30 to maybe 20s at night, but.
Does anybody use hydraulic?
I don't know. I don't know any of my buddies that use hydraulic saws either. I don't know too many guys that do.
When you start your faces, do you start with do you make like a wedge shape to help bring the nose and stuff out?
Well, on this piece here, it actually it was kind of, this is like a top view, just so you guys know what I'm drawing here. It kind of had like a piece, it was kind of like that, like a triangle. So right there, I already had the nose so I just kind of, if you could imagine, kind of cut that out there and there to really bring the nose out. Because these scraps are so flat, you get so many different odd shapes, and that would be, if you can make, sometimes if you're just gonna take a log, cut it in half. I gotta wipe this thing down. You got your log. A lot of times, if I just get a bunch of limbs, I'll just take and cut the limbs right in half, and then right there, I can get in there and I'll start cutting the face out and just start working that face like right in here, because I kind of like to leave that edge on here so you can kind of build around and make that face kind of look like he's coming out of the log. So I kind of, this area right here, if you can imagine, this this piece right in here would be like the face. And I leave these edges here and here. I leave these kind of to make that face look like he's kind of either trying to pull out of that log or he's kind of he's sunk into it. Because like I say, it goes back to that depth thing. If you want that life, something popping out of that log, it looks so much better. People are like, "How was that added?" And you get all kinds of questions like that. Was that piece like cut and then put in, or? But and then actually, when I was at the English Open and I carved that hawk with the spear face, I had some of the contestants ask me, "So what is that? I mean, why did you add that?" Because I have the hawk going after the rabbit, and then it's actually like she was like, "Yeah, we were kind of confused." So then it's like overkill. So then I, maybe shouldn't have put them in there, but back home everybody loves them. So I mean, I'll carve them all day. So I'll throw them in anything if somebody wants one. I'll be doing a big eagle and throw one in the bottom, and it just adds an extra point of interest. But that made sense because what was the point of putting it in there? I don't know. It's just I had extra wood, so that's what I've always done. And now I'm like, oh, well, that makes sense. I should have maybe put another rabbit maybe running. You just never know. But first time, that was a lot of fun. That was a great time.
I think that means you added a second.
There's two, yeah.
Yeah, see, that makes a lot more sense to me because it's more than art pieces now because you added that second. The first one would have been confusing, but since you had added that whole base is like now become a whole different kind of, it gives it a whole different twist.
Yeah. I guess because of the way that wood was shaped, and I've been carving these things, and I saw that really cool shape. I thought, man, I could put one in there. Maybe I should have added another rabbit leap in a different direction, but when you're carving against some of the best in the world, I mean, it's like no matter what you're going to do, it's going to be difficult to really pull something out that they're pulling out. They're making all kinds of crazy stuff. Yeah, if you guys ever get a chance to go overseas and carve, you should definitely do it. That was a really great learning experience. But you're seeing all kinds of phenomenal pieces. Stuff you just wouldn't imagine would be here. You see a lot of bears and things like that, and then you go over there and they're carving like the wind in the willows. You got a badger sitting in a boat, and I'm checking for overcuts, and there isn't any. I'm like, man, these guys are great. That type of stuff, you can hide an overcut easy. You're just carving lines all kind of through it and just going with the flow. And it kind of, in a way, these cuts are kind of like an overcut, but you make them purposeful. But, yeah.
When you have a piece of wood, how long does it take you to see the outcome?
In most pieces that I'm carving, I have it in my head, but I kind of go with the log and what it'll allow me to do. So I could be carving and then change my idea as I'm carving. I just kind of go with the flow. So I really don't have a complete idea. And I've talked to some guys and they're like, I don't know what the heck, how I'm going to fit, it's not in my head. I'm just kind of carving and I don't know what to do. What's the next step? I'm just carving and I'm just getting the feel of the log and which direction I can go with it. Where is it going to let me go? Do I have enough piece of, can I curve it down here at the bottom? Can I add a little snake popping out down here? Or a little fish, coming down here? But
that comes with the job.
Yeah, being creative and just having fun with it. I enjoy just working the wood and everything. But yeah, anybody got any other questions? I don't want to hold you guys up. I know we got a lot of work to do out there.
It's a little chilly. Keep talking.
When it hits 2, we'll let you know. That's when the bars open up.
Oh, the Bigfoot. I got a Bigfoot face on there. With the wood spear faces, you're goofing around with hair. You can learn a lot by just carving mustaches and beards. So you can kind of play off of that, and then that's supposed to be a Bigfoot. But anyway, I didn't add that mustache hair. So...
My ex-wife.
It looks like a carver.
Doesn't look like the Bigfoot I seen.
Well, that's the one that lives in my area, so anyway. But playing off of that, you can kind of see
West Virginia.
The mustache right in this area here. If you just imagine, I just didn't cut. I just sunk that nose back, or that lip back, and where a wood spirit mustache would have been, I carved, like, I sanded that down more to bring that upper lip out. So if you're working on a face and you kind of, you know, I know faces are extremely hard, and I've had my share of struggles with them, but carving them and then making that lip too, just with that, you just kind of, this is, in a way, this helps. Got the nose, and you know how you bring that down there for that upper lip. So instead of like making that into a mustache and flowing it, you kind of stop. And that's what I did with the faces. My wife hates my faces. She's my worst critic. I don't know. I'm sure you all know how that can be. But she's like, I hate your angel faces, so I start making more ugly faces because they're easier for me to make.
You're on video, buddy.
I'm already in trouble. I'm in Ridgeway. I mean, come on.
And now more.
Stay in Ridgeway, bro. Going live.
Well, instead of just extending that down, I'm throwing that up that lower lip. So now you got like basically right, and then you know, then you can kind of goof around with adding like the little curves in here, open that mouth up if you want to make a tooth come out. But practicing with the wood spirits, you get comfortable with these, and you can start making stuff like without the hair, which is harder because you can hide so much behind that mustache. You know.
Your wife's on the phone.
But yeah, she's my worst critic. You know, when I'm trying to go for something more elegant and soft, which, like I say, I don't do a whole lot of. I think the ugly faces are cool, but and they're way easier because you really can't mess them up because you're going for ugly. So when it comes to like a woman's face, Joe and I have had many conversations on the road about them, just talking about trying to, you got to keep going back over it and working that face over and over again, and it's just, it drives you crazy. But and you bring your wife out and you're like, well, and she says no, so you go back in and you just keep working, you know.
Cosmetics.
Yeah, yeah, some makeup.
Yeah.
But yeah, just.
Yeah.
And you can basically see that shape at the top, like I start right here, that pitch at the top where his forehead and the hair comes down. You can kind of see how I take these and took it to there on that piece. And then the hair, a lot of hair and lines and stuff.
Yeah, women and children, it's like they have a lack, there has to be such a lack of creases and folds and cracks. I mean, you literally have to bump them to the point where they're almost,
yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like a bowling ball face.
It's true, yeah. And you got to get that nose just right.
Otherwise, they look like satanic little creatures. They got this womanly beauty, and then they got these funky cracks around their eyes.
Yeah. I'm already liking it, yeah. And then we can add like this cool beard coming out.
Yeah.
Put some horns on it.
The horns, yeah.
Hear that, Mrs. Stoller? Inspiration.
Yeah.
Jason, I have friends that they do special effects makeup. You know, they do the mask for movies.
Yeah.
So like when you say just make it ugly, it'll be okay. They try and do that, and then you know they get kicked out. You know,
really?
The owner of the company will say, no, that's horrible. I guess there's still an art to make it ugly.
Yeah.
You know, but the big question I'm going to come up again. Why do you think it's so hard for faces? I mean, I'm looking around. I got 80 models right now.
Well, that's true.
But when it comes down to I'm carving, I'm focused. I think I lose it.
And that's a good thing about wood spirit face, because one eye can be like up here and one eye can be down, because yeah, it's a wood spirit face. So what? I think it's all proportion, you know. In this, there's no mathematical draw the line here, measure here. It's just carve it and have fun, and that's why I like that type of carving I like to do. I just like to go with the flow and just buzz stuff out. But I think when you're doing like a face and a human face, you really have to have the proportions right to your piece. And that's so hard.
But,
Five
like I
eye
said,
rule.
you know, it seems so difficult, but yet we have so many models around. Or,
Yeah.
you know, you just look out and pick a detail.
Right. Well, when you think of, like Joe and I talk, when you think of something, a pretty face, what does it have? It has proportion. It's perfectly aligned, everything, you know?
So you're saying there's not enough pretty faces around to look at?
Well, like I say, we are in Ridgeway, so. I'm just playing, all right? Look at that face. Say it. Look at that. You got the pretty, and then boom, this crazy face. Yeah, but look at how it's distorted, the distortion of it, you know?
The angle also has to
Yeah.
That's before and after margarita night.
That's before and after you told you bought a new saw.
Could I add something about that that came up? That's because I've done a lot of faces, and what you're getting at that might help you is that if you look at every one of these faces and measured every one of these faces, the difference between every single one of these faces is so subtle and so small. You know what I mean? That really, every time I start a face, it starts almost with the same thing. It's about a 10-foot tall oval. You know what I mean? And then the eyes have to be halfway down, and it's the hard thing for a lot of people is they don't realize that you're right through the middle of your eyes is halfway between here and here. And if you look at a lot of people's faces, that's not happening. And the other thing that's not happening is this and this. I mean, this is like an inch or less. And then this piece, maybe 2, you know, but that you'll see a lot of people, the chin start to just come, you know, down and down and down. Or the eyes and the forehead, you'll notice the forehead's too small or way too big. And the hardest thing is, I mean, anything with humans, we're so used to, you're right, they're all here, we're so used to seeing them that even a kid could come up to you and say, that doesn't look right. You know, because it's so part of us, we so see it. But that's the hardest thing is to really just nail in that framework, because if you really want it to be correct, you really have to you get in and you have to measure that out, and you have to stay true to that and find that, and then it comes easier if you keep practicing at that, which does apply with your face. You know what I mean?
Which is awesome. It doesn't apply. There's no measurements.
Exactly.
Just get her done and throw it out there and make your money, you know? Because on those faces, you're going to want your time, because you are, like you're saying, you're going to spend a ton of time on that thing.
You are.
And you're going to be like, you know, I'm going to want $500. I had a lady, she wants me to carve, she wanted me to carve Mary. I'm like, well, I can do it. I said, but you're going to pay. She's like, well, it's only the, yeah, I'm like, it's only the bust, okay.
Yeah.
You're going to pay. I'm going to have to carve, take it home, because it's wintertime, let the wood dry, come back out, sand it, go over it. And, you know, she's got a picture. She wants it to look like the picture. So, it's you might as well just quadruple the price of what you're thinking. You know, I could do a bear for $400. You're gonna at least $1,200 if you want something to try to even remotely. And there's a chance they're not even going to like it anyway. You know. So, those are cool wood spirit faces. It looks like a lot of chisel work. That's a cool one too.
How do you decide your eyebrows? So whether you point them or
I really don't. I really don't. I just carve them, and if it works as I'm buzzing out the eyes, I'll sometimes one's up here and one's lower, or
using the edge of a sanding disc on a grinder. It's good for hairlines and eyebrows. And
yeah.
it's direct.
Right.
And it often burns it as well, so it darkens the line.
Puts that little line in there too. Yeah.
Your spirits always seem that whimsy, you know,
have that flow,
majestic, and they all have the pointed eyebrows. But it's like you bring them down, all of a sudden now you got an angry storm.
Yeah, it will change your look. I do kind of go up, which is, you know, everybody makes them. Every sculpture, not a single bear here is the same by far. So, which is cool about this, because everybody's got their own thing, and then what one person likes, the other person will buy somebody else. You know what I mean? That's what makes it great.
There's a yard for every carving school.
That's it. Yeah.
Except there's a homeowner's
Yeah. But yeah, there's no true way to doing them. I just, I carve a bunch of them, and they've always been pretty good sellers for me. And if you got a ton of scrap and you don't, it's cold, go in your basement and buzz them out with your electric saw, and and then when it gets warm, you got like 50 of them, and you can make your mortgage payment or two. Yeah. So, all right, everybody's leaving. I guess let's cut this down. Hey, I will see you guys. Thanks for staying.
Thanks.